Hi, I'm Michael Stokes. Welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to be talking about painting, what it means to me, both as the artist and viewer, and collectively the results of years of viewing paintings and reading papers from some of the finest professors, namely Professor Maya Shapiro. My experience of painting began for me as a 6-year-old boy. I was a completely deaf child. I had a lot of problems with regard to expressing myself as a youngster, and the communication of obviously talking and being called or anything like that. My mother would have to tap me on the shoulder. So things like books, things I could see, things I could read, ultimately became very important to me. And when I was a 6-year-old boy, my uncle, who was like my father, my Uncle Leslie, he took me to the Walker, and I viewed the painting by Cézanne, The Murder, 1867. And the experience that painting had on me, and what it meant, I was quite profoundly taken back, because I'd looked at other paintings in the gallery and so on, but this was different. This was something unique. I seen something within the Cézanne that I hadn't seen before, and I think you look at the date and the specific painting, the figurative elements of the work. The men almost look like they're wearing jeans. You could argue that the synopsis of basically the figure evolving through El Greco to Delacroix, and then ultimately realizing the ultimate form of the figure. This well-traveled eye. This man was looking at a lot of paintings. This man was studying a lot. Most of us are familiar with the Picasso quote of "Good artists borrow, great artists steal." And basically, my development began through reading a lot of books, as well as museum and gallery time. And moving on into my teens, the importance of painting and study became very important. Once I've reached into my later childhood years, my hearing has returned, but I have this profound interest that no one around me seems to have, and I seem to understand it in a way that I want to dedicate my life to it, and realise the importance of painting. But at the same time, there is an element of the artist needing to have a great deal of discovery, personal discovery, with regard to what they want to paint, the subjects, and so on, and these other areas. And for me, when I was painting landscapes, when I was painting the portrait and the floral figurative elements, that had already been done. A lot of my work, I hadn't realised that, as good as I was told that it was, as good as some of my amazing mentors believed in my work, I didn't feel I was answering questions. I felt like I was in a journey of repetition, existing within this contemporary field that ultimately many people are doing the same thing. And the centric part of that comes down to subject, and the importance of subject as being the clinical part of the painting, and what your subjects are. This painting behind me, I've been painting this painting for 10 months. A lot of people think it's outrageous to paint a painting for 10 months, but for me, the importance of the painting transcends any element of time. The inspiration for this work behind me, it's a painting called India. I watched an RT interview on the television, and it was about the rape crisis in India. A woman is raped every 13 minutes, and I always remember the people being interviewed in the video coming up with comments such as, well, based on the size of India, 13 minutes isn't that bad. And I was deeply impacted by that in relation to the human condition. What does that mean? How do we think as people? Do we collectively see certain things that go on, but we're evolving technologically that we almost forget the little guy, or we forget certain situations in the world. We think, well, it's not in our country, or it's not whatever, so that doesn't go on here. But the importance of it is is something for me that I want to capture for the viewer, and I want to bring to the surface in a way that I understand the complete incumbents of what a painting is meant to be, and that is ultimately to explore the relationship between the artist and the viewer. There's no intermediary force that guides you to the painting. When you look at a work, it's collectively there for you to see, and ultimately when you describe a subject within a work, you provoke thoughts, whether that be through the beauty of painting, wherever it may be, or what you've addressed. Ultimately, the emotional experience for the viewer as well as the artist is ultimately one of the most important facets of a work. And I attempt and I deliver upon my personal feeling, my desires. I paint about issues that I feel within the human condition we need to really address. We can put rockets on the moon, we can do these great things, but if we can't solve some of the primitive elements of life, then I I wonder what the point is of doing all those other great things. Areas such as famine and stuff like that. One of my most recent paintings from 2021 was a work called Schindler's Red Coat, and the emotional impact of Schindler's List with Oscar Schindler, played by Liam Neeson. That stuck with me for that stuck with me for 20 years, and when I brought that to the surface, I was thinking about all the little girls, whether they were wearing black, brown, red coats, whatever it may be, the children that unfortunately died through Hitler's policies of the Holocaust and so on. So those ideals and those thoughts, they really resonate with me, and I have to paint them. I have to respond. It's something I'm compelled to do, and I will keep painting these subjects. And I think with regard to India and the other paintings that I've created for the viewer, I would ultimately hope that at some stage a 6-year-old boy, a 10-year-old boy, or someone similar to myself would ultimately realize the paintings, see what I've brought to the surface, and that goes on to inspire them to be an artist. I think the most beautiful thing about painting isn't necessarily the painting itself. It's what we choose to do as artists, and what we go on, and the legacy and the effects for the next generation. I think man has had a quest for religion since times began, but surely we've been answering the question of God through the hands of man, and indeed women, on surfaces for hundreds, thousands of years and so on. So I'm very attuned to the fact that I am a man of the Renaissance. I am I suppose you would say, a Western trained painter. My teachings are based on what I have learned from Professor Maya Shapiro, and I believe him to be the ultimate mind within painting that has allowed many of us to transcend and understand painting, both from an intellectual point, from an academic sense, but also in a realization of when to bring works forward as artists. Fortunately, Maya was not put off when he said that printing kills. He was once quoted as saying printing kills, and thankfully we have had the papers, and yeah, I've been able to read them and be inspired. And I think collectively, if I was to carry on thinking about painting in a way so as to want to be of the classical representation of painting, then I would only be doing something that has already been done, and the those that have inspired me have done it to such a level that I would not attempt. We talk about Cezanne. Cezanne to me is almost this. He's like this. He's this godlike figure. He's prolific, but in a number of ways, the importance of Cezanne cannot be measured. Um, in a way of just painting, he opened the door. He is a dam buster that has led to a profound effect that has enabled paintings for generations now, since his death in 1906. And we are allowed to be painters now based on his ideals and what he has shown us, not just through the choice of subjects. It's a lot to do with the structure, and the approach to a work and what a work means. One of Cezanne's quotes: "A work of art that did not begin with emotion is not art." And certainly, I feel that when I am creating the work, and every work, and all of anything I do with regards to painting, it begins with that, because I realise that it all begins with an emotional impulse. So, thank you for allowing me the chance to speak to you today, um, and yeah, thank you.